I am a sheepdog.
I have a subconscious and moral burden
to protect and help the people around me.
I believe in safety, responsibility,
and the God-given right to defend myself and others
from the wolves who seek to steal, kill, and destroy.
I defend the Second Amendment
by properly representing what it means to be a gun owner.
I will put aside my doubts,
my fears, and my excuses.
I will be trained, I will be ready.
I will be confident, and I will be prepared.
While some sheepdogs are born, most are made.
Becoming a sheepdog is a choice.
A new way of thinking and a new identity.
An alter ego that you must step into.
We are patriots.
We are defenders of liberty.
We protect those we love.
We are sheepdogs.
What is up, everybody?
Hello. We are back from Mexico.
Yes.
And Easter weekend happened right after, right? Oh man, I'm on fire tonight. Are you? When you see me, are you getting a little excited?
A little bit.
I'm keeping it fresh.
Oh yeah, is that what's happening?
I don't know. But here's the thing, though. I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but I think I'm gonna let my gray hair grow. Whoops, this side. I've got a lot of gray hair. It runs in my family. Most people in my family by 50, and I'm 43, are completely white. And I have to dye my hair every 2 weeks. And it really bugs me. So I said to Paisley today, I think I'm going to let it go. And it's more in the front here. So it'll be a white streak. What do you guys think? Because I asked you this before and you're like, nah, you're too young. You're too young to let it go gray. So I don't know. I think it might give me that sexy Elvira Adams family. Don't they have a streak or something? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Basically, it's because I'm too lazy to dye it. Okay. So I'm trying to explain how this could be
Tulsi Gabbard. So that's who I was thinking of. Tulsi Gabbard. She's that.
Who's that? I've never even heard of that. Listen what I get. So I always get Sophia Loren. I think it's a side view thing. Sophia Loren. But lately, I've been getting Shania Twain.
Oh, God.
I got it 10 times in the last 2 years.
I forgot about this.
But who's...
Ballazon, a.k.a. Big Booty Judy.
I love Big Booty Judy.
How did we...
We're happy to get you here. And Will from Navarre, Florida. I don't even know where that is. Did I say it right? I don't know. But I love... So Shane's from Palm Coast. I love when you guys put... where you're from. So if you haven't put where you're from for a while, put that in the comments. Okay, you look hot, Tiffany, gray or not. Yes, thank you. And believe it or not, my 14-year-old daughter did my makeup tonight.
Oh, she did?
She did. I went and sat
Looks
in
awesome.
her room. So she's been doing TikToks and YouTubes, and she's been kind of killing it with makeup. She's really talented.
Let me tell this story.
Okay, wait. So she was like, do you think I could do your makeup tonight, Mom? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. You do an amazing job. And I'm looking at myself and I'm like, dang, I'm looking fine.
Looking good.
I'm looking good.
So one of the amazing things that happened in Mexico, so awesome, is when we were there, we had a big mastermind event. Mm-hmm. So there's probably 300, 400 people there, roughly.
300 to 400, yeah.
Less people
that.
this year, for sure.
Yeah.
So the very first day, Paisley sends me a text message and she goes, Dad, is Daryl Eves going to be there?
Okay, now wait. Most people don't know who Daryl Eves is because he's the behind-the-scenes character. But everybody knows Mr. Beast or they know The Chosen, okay? The new movie, The Chosen. So he is...
the person behind all of the biggest YouTubers in the world.
Yes, including Mr. Beast. And he's the one that has...
created The Chosen.
Created The Chosen. This is his, life's mission was The Chosen, which, as you all know, if anybody has watched it, it is, crazy amazing, right? So I'll let you keep finishing the story because...
Okay, so I said, yeah, Paisley, Daryl actually just walked by me a second ago, and she goes, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I said, if you want, next time I see him, I'll get a selfie with him. And she's like, oh, that'd be so awesome, Dad. So then 3 days later, me and Tiff are sitting by the pool waiting for our friends, and we see Daryl and his wife walking towards us.
We're like,
And I said, hey, Tiff, I'm going to go talk to him. And Tiff's like, don't do it, Ryan. Like they're about to go have dinner.
I always feel bad bothering people. I have such a
and bothering like famous people.
Yeah, well,
because you know that they get harassed all the time.
I know, but I just feel bad bothering anybody. Like that's just my personality, right? I'm an empath. I'm a huge empath, so I have a hard time. Like, no, don't bother them.
But me, I'm like, this is happening.
Yeah.
So O-Town Racer saw the video on Warrior Cloud already, so that's cool.
Oh,
but
okay, cool.
You're wrecking the story here, O-Town Racer. So be a team player here, buddy. So I said, I'm going to go talk to him. So I went over there and I was like, Daryl, what's up? And I told him about Paisley. Can we get a selfie? He said yes. So we got a selfie. And then I was like, yeah, my daughter's like really crushing it. She's got her TikTok account. And I said, it sucks because some of her friends got jealous at school and they all like got together and said like, let's all ban what is it called? Like report her account on the same day. And her account got deleted.
And on TikTok, if you get so many reports, they just delete you. Like they don't give you an opportunity, a chance. Like if you get so many reports, it's just gone. So it's different than YouTube and Facebook where they'll like look into it.
Yeah.
So because she was like blowing up, she's doing, cool stuff. So let me just interject here and say, I've already interjected. Daryl Eves, super cool guy. Like, wouldn't you agree? Like super humble, cool guy.
Oh yeah.
Like super friendly. And his wife, like also so amazing. She was like totally fine with us interrupting them, on their way to their dinner. Super kind and friendly. And he was like, yeah, give me your phone. She was like, give me your phone. I'll take a picture right away, right? So me and Ryan go to stand by each other. And then he looks over at Ryan and he's like, let me see one of her videos. So Ryan pulls up one that she did with this Louis Vuitton face. And he sees the video and then he says to me, give me your phone. Put a camera. What did he say? Give me your phone. Give me your phone.
Very rude and aggressive.
No.
Give me your phone.
Nice. So then I gave him the phone, and he's like, puts the video on, and then he starts making a video to Paisley directly. Okay, and are you sharing?
No, just tell him. You're already interrupting me, so go ahead. It's like,
I just like that. So he's like, Paisley, I heard that some friends were kind of jealous. I saw your video, like, you're great. And here's the thing. I want you to do two things. I want you to go study one of my students, right, who's gone from like 60,000 subscribers in October to now over 1 million subscribers. So that's like in 5 months. I want you to go study her, and I want you to write a 10-page report, okay, on whatever it is that you notice or whatever it is, and submit it to me. And if you do that, I will approve you to do my channel jumpstart course, which is worth $15,000. I will pay for it for free for you. So me and Ryan are like, oh my gosh. Oh, I wasn't, oh my gosh. I was bawling in the corner, okay? I was like.
Yeah, Tiff's crying, and I'm sitting there listening to Daryl like, why are you crying? What are you doing?
Because that's such a nice, one, it's such a kind and nice thing to do. Two, he's a big name.
He's a big deal.
He's a big deal. So for him to take time, before he's going to his dinner, him to take time to watch the video of Paisley, to make Paisley a video, and then to offer a $15,000 course. Mentorship course that we know a lot of the people in our group take and have been waiting for, and it's full and it's in high demand. And this guy's amazing. So anyway, Paisley's like, oh my gosh, when she gets this video addressed straight to her from Daryl Eves. Like, this is a huge deal for a 14-year-old. So she gets working on it Friday. This was Thursday night. She gets working on the 10-page report. She skipped family outings. She worked her butt off. She did like 15 hours, passed out on her bed, woke up, did it again. She got a 26-page report submitted on Monday to Daryl.
So in 4 days.
In 4 days.
Because like Paisley, I said to her, I was like, Paisley, you have to have this done Monday, okay? And that's why we missed the live stream last week, is because me and Paisley were writing the paper and rewriting it and making it good. And frankly, that's more of a priority, in my opinion, just to help her meet this deadline and make sure that she can meet this, opportunity. This is so huge, right? But I was proud of her. So here are the big lessons. Number one, Daryl put this really massive barrier in front of her. 10 pages is very hard. And Paisley freaking crushed it, 26-page paper. So she had a definite purpose of getting that done, and she wasn't going to let anything stop in front of her. I don't know if I even told you this, but she was typing in here, and it's 10:30 at night, and like I'm watching her type on my screen, and I'm like, it's incoherent nonsense. Like, and I just said, just keep typing, Paisley. Don't even think about it. Just keep typing.
Right.
But she was so tired, she couldn't even put the words on the paper properly.
Right,
it was crazy. So anyway, she got it done. She got accepted. She's going to blow up. It's going to be amazing.
So we sent it to Daryl. Daryl's like, great, put her in the program and all this stuff. So, I mean, just super proud of her for, like, killing it and for showing, like, super massive dedication. And that goes back, you know, last week we kind of went on this tangent. We kind of got off on, like, you know, like self-development and definiteness of purpose and things like that. And I just wanted to, like, encourage everybody. Like, we're so, like, fearful, right? We all have, like, big dreams and goals or things that have been like kind of speaking to us, or we're hearing things, but we get scared. We get paralyzed.
What are people going to think?
We get worried.
Here's the big one. What if I fail?
What if I fail?
So
Can I really do this?
Yeah, I actually said this to somebody the other day. So he was like talking about his business, and he said, like, he was telling me all these problems and all this stuff. And I said, is your big concern, are you like worried about if you're going to fail? And he's like, yeah. And I said, let me ask you a question. So if you continue down this business, let's say you do fail. Let's say nothing works, you completely fail. I said,
completely bomb.
Is your wife going to divorce you? And he was like, well, no. And I said, oh, okay. Are your children going to say, I hate you as a dad, and then walk out and never talk to you again? And he was like, well, no. And I said, are you going to lose your house? Are they going to foreclose on your house if this business doesn't work? And he's like, no. And I said, oh, okay. Like, are they going to come repossess your cars out of your driveway? And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. And I said, so then what's the worst that will happen? And he's like, I guess nothing. And I was like, that's it. That's it.
Because here's the big epiphany. And Ryan and I, you know, we've been entrepreneurs for like 19 years. You guys know we have a list of businesses this big. A lot of them have failed. A lot. And here's the thing. Is you never know until you try. And we are the ones that put the big roadblock of the big fear, right, of the unknown with our businesses. Because we think all these bad things are going to happen. But if you really write down on paper, like, what will happen if I try this and it doesn't work? And a lot of times is, like, really nothing will happen. Maybe a few of your Facebook friends will be like, hey, whatever happened to that business? Which one of our friends,
April
Walker.
So, April Walker. So she calls me. She said, Ryan, she's like, big black lady. I love her. But so I have to put that into context, okay? Because it just makes sense. She's like, Ryan, every time I call you, she said, you remind me of a Jamaican. And I'm like, why you say that, April? And she goes, because every time I call you, you got a different business on your voicemail, Ryan.
Which is so true.
It is true.
Okay? Because before we had Tampa Carry, we had so many different businesses. And it was like, if you called, you never knew
what business you were going to get.
What business you would get. And she just would laugh at us, but she was also like she would laugh at us and she thought it was funny. But then she also thought it was like kind of inspiring, you know, for her, because she was like, just keep trying. Just keep doing new things, you know.
Okay, let's get back on the show here.
So anyway, I just thought it was freaking funny. Funny as heck.
So lots of people asking about permitless carry or constitutional carry.
Okay.
I want you guys to tell me in the comments down below, like, what are your biggest questions about constitutional carry now passing?
Let's address this.
What are some of your concerns? And what is your opinion about it? So let me share with you mine. I've said this, I think I was interviewed on TV 3 or 4 times over the last 7 days. It was a lot. And I told them all the same thing. I think we should not have to ask permission from the United States government to exercise our rights.
100%.
Kind of like, would you guys agree that not everybody in America should have children?
Yep.
Like, not everybody in America is smart enough or responsible enough to have kids.
Yep.
I think we can all agree with that, right?
And some people abuse their right, and some people are very negligent.
But it is not our responsibility to say, hey, listen, you're allowed to have a kid, you're not. You're allowed to have a kid, you're not. It's not like that.
Be like China and be like, you can have 1 kid or whatever it is, right? It is not up to the government.
Okay. So I don't believe, would you guys agree that most people in America are not smart enough to vote? Most people in America are not smart enough to vote. They are not smart enough to understand that you don't just check boxes based on what letter is next to it, R or D. You have to actually understand what the hell you're checking, right? I also agree that most people are probably not, most people are not smart enough to own guns, okay?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's most. So there's a fraction.
Tiffany, will you just let me talk?
There's a fraction of people that, yes.
Are you going to let me talk? Don't interrupt me. Just let me talk. Most people are not smart enough to own guns. And the reason they are not smart enough to own guns is because they think, I literally asked this guy the other day, what's your experience shooting a gun? And he goes, well, I mean, I've been like playing Call of Duty for like 12 years. And I looked at him and like, are you for real? Are you joking? Or are you joking or what? And the guy's like, nah, bro, that is not the same, right? So I think constitutional carry is great. And I think that smart people are going to want to still seek out firearms training. However, we have trained with Tampa Carry over 82,000 people. Do you guys understand? Would you agree that is a massive big number?
Yeah, so you really
I have more
good...
context of who concealed carry permit holders are in the state of Florida than probably anyone. And I can tell you right now that a lot of people come into my class thinking one way. They think they understand the law. They think they understand when they can use a gun and when they can't. And then after a very short period of time, I was telling you the other day, as I'm talking, I can look in people's eyes and I can realize the shift that happens. The shift where they realize, I thought I knew something, to holy crap, I actually don't know what I thought I knew. Does that make sense? So I think constitutional carry is going to be interesting. We're going to play a video here in a minute of a guy who flat out murdered somebody, but I guarantee you the shooter thinks that what he did was 100% justified. I guarantee it. Why? Because I get in debates and arguments with people just like this every single day. So what I am very afraid of with constitutional carry is now people are just going to start carrying a gun. And again, we have questions like this tonight that you guys are going to see. And those false, terrible beliefs that they have in their head, they're never going to get addressed by somebody that really knows what they're talking about. And they're just going to take the opinion of random person at a gun store and they're going to believe what that person had to say.
Or not an opinion at all, just what they think, right? Because the biggest thing when my family comes from Canada, what's the biggest thing they think? They say to you, so you can just shoot somebody for walking on your property? That's what they think. Because that's
what a lot of people think.
That's what people share or has been shared in the media, right? Like, oh, we need gun control because you can just shoot anybody that walks on your property. You as responsible gun owners know that that is not accurate. But most of the people do not know this. And I can agree that, I've had people on the channel say like, Ryan, you can't say that. You can't say 90% of people, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, and here's the reason that I say these numbers. Like, I'm not making these numbers up. I'm not exaggerating them. When I say to you that 90% of people that own guns do not know what they're doing, there's a reason. It's because I'm at the gun range all the time. And I see people like police officers, like FBI agents. Just imagine, I had an FBI agent that I had to tell this FBI agent multiple times during the training class, ma'am, you are going to shoot yourself. You keep pointing the gun at your hip. Now, to be an FBI agent, I don't know how much training you got to go through, but 100 hours, 120 hours of training. So you went through all that and you still don't know, don't point the gun at your hip, right? So, I mean, I've had military guys, active duty military, who have had a ton of training come into my class and pull out a loaded gun to show another student because they thought it was acceptable, right? So the reason I say 90% is because I've seen a lot of people. Also with our gun store, right? Like we had FBI agents, we had Homeland Security, we had Tampa Police coming in and handing us loaded guns, doing unsafe things with guns.
Trying on holsters with a loaded gun with people in the store. We had a person get shot in the chest in our gun store, right? From somebody doing something stupid with a firearm, okay?
Who was supposed to be an experienced gun person.
We have had students, okay? We had a customer shoot himself in the parking lot of our gun store.
Who was grew up with guns his entire life.
We had a student practicing at home shoot through his mirror in his bathroom.
I forgot about that.
In his apartment.
Yeah.
Okay? And almost kill somebody in the next apartment over. So we have seen it all. We have been around for 12 years. We've been doing this for a long time. And praise God for the people that take this seriously. Praise God for the people that are on this channel, that buy Ryan's book, that take the necessary steps. However, there is a large gap. And there is a lot of people that just, we know because of the attitude that they have coming into the class, we know that those people are never going to seek out any kind of training, any kind of additional education. They're not going to be buying any books. They're not going to be watching any videos. They're just going to put a gun on their hip and walk out the door.
And then get confused when they shoot somebody and go to prison for 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so Whiskey OSO says, Ryan, you're saying constitutional carry. I thought it was permitless carry.
It kind of is permitless carry because there's still no, open carry, and there's still a lot
What does that have to do with it? So you're allowed to carry a gun without a permit. This is just vocabulary, right? So I know gun people love to get very stuck on vocabulary here. It's like suppressor and silencer. We're talking about pretty much the same thing. The open carry is not part of the constitutional carry bill that passed in Florida, which is a good thing. It's a very good thing, because if you guys remember when constitutional carry was proposed the last couple times, they had open carry as a provision in it. However, what people were not paying attention to is the bill also said that businesses had a right to say who was allowed to who was allowed to possess a gun in their business or not.
Right.
So if that would have gone through, if an open carry provision goes through in the state of Florida, every gun owners are all freaking out and all pissed about it, but you're not even understanding what you would lose. What you lose is now no guns allowed signs would actually be enforceable. At the moment, the way it is, no guns allowed signs are non-enforceable still. That is what we want.
Yes.
We don't want every single business, because I promise you,
A lot will.
if they were enforceable, every business, most businesses, would have signs that say no guns allowed.
And
now you can't conceal carry, you can't open carry, you can't do anything.
And the businesses that didn't put those signs, guaranteed all these groups would boycott. And they would make such a ruckus and make such a scene in front of their business that they would be forced to add a no guns allowed sign. And before you know it, it would be then illegal for you to open carry or concealed carry. And then you actually
Lose rights.
You lose your rights, okay? Like, things have been so, yes, because that was a big part of what people were pushing, like, oh, DeSantis, da-da-da-da, but you're not putting open carry in the bill. But I think a lot of us on here understand that, I mean, and even if open carry was passed, it would be never something that I would do. I would never open carry. And I don't think you would either.
I won't. I have no desire. I think
you're
it's,
right.
I think
We would lose a lot of things. And
okay, so David Souza says, now you must have an ID if you're going to carry with permitless carry.
Yes, 100%.
Tiffany, that's always been a law. You always have had to have a photo ID when you're carrying a gun and your concealed carry permit. That's always been a thing. Okay, so we have not had problems with constitutional carry in Montana. However, most of us have training. Yeah, and that's great. As long as you get training, you know what you're doing, then that's totally fine.
Right.
Many Floridians believe, how many idiots in Florida now think with permitless carry that they're legal, convicted felons. Yeah, it's going to take several years for people to realize what you can do and what you can't.
So a lot of people, posted in our group, and I got emails of people saying, like, can't remember where I just read this, that so many people apply for their permit not realizing that they actually, and I know this because we get the emails, oh gosh, I had this felony 20 years ago, but I thought it was 20 years ago, so I thought I was okay to carry. And I'm like, well, no, it says, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Not, have you been convicted of a felony in the last 10 years or 5 years, blah, 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 blah. So now a lot of people are just going to start carrying, thinking automatically that they are legally allowed to carry. And then when they get pulled over and they run it and they realize, like, you're not allowed to carry a gun, that's also going to be
not allowed to be in possession of a gun.
Possession of a gun. That's going to be a big issue too, because we do have a lot of people that have over so many drunk driving effects, or they have a domestic violence on their record, or they have a battery on their record, or they have a felony. So that will be an issue for sure.
All right, so Gerardo says, can I carry an AR-15 in my truck in Florida? Yes. Not a big deal. Easy.
Yeah. But be careful because people will break into your vehicle. So if you have an AR-15 in your vehicle and it's open, people can see it, and you walk into a
Even
store
a gun case
or whatever it is. I mean, people see that. So they'll break into your car. And when we owned the gun store, I can tell you that we had calls every single week. And I just got a text message the other day. Somebody stole my guns out of my car. Do you have the serial number? So definitely do not be leaving your gun, your rifle in your car, because someone will break in, smash a window real quick, and steal your guns. I mean, it happens all the time.
Okay, so RV Dog says, do you still need a concealed carry to drive 1,000 feet of a school? I've been asked that question a bunch of times lately. So I read the bill today, and I didn't see that provision in there. But one provision that I did see, did I tell you this yet?
I don't think so, because I was busy getting glammed up from our daughter.
Okay. I think... Now, I need to study this a little bit more, but I'm just giving you guys my initial thing here. I don't think the governor should have signed this bill.
Oh.
I don't think it was ready.
It wasn't
ready?
ready?
There was one little mistake in there that I caught that actually sets gun owners up for a tremendous amount of failure.
Oh, gosh.
This might have been done on accident. This could have been done strategically. Okay? You guys ready for this?
What is it?
It's when they're talking about the definition of a destructive device.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're talking about the definition, or I'm sorry, maybe I'm messing up here. I'll have to clarify it on the next video. But they were talking about prohibited firearms, and they said a prohibited firearm is, just keep talking. Let me find this so I can actually.
Okay. So if any of you, one of the questions that I had was, do I even bother renewing my permit? I already have my permit. Why should I bother renewing it if it's pointless? And I said, of course you want to renew your permit. So there's a few things that happen when you have a Florida concealed carry permit. One is that you can carry legally in 37 other states. You can't do that if you don't have a permit. To renew your permit in Florida is $42 for 7 years. Why would you not keep it? I mean, $42 over 7 years, that's less than like $6 a year, okay? And with that, also, you can avoid the waiting period, because in Florida, you have is it 3 or 5 day waiting period?
3-day wait in the state.
Okay.
And then it's a 5-day wait here.
Okay, so you get to still circumvent that wait. So, I mean, for $6 a year, why would you want to skip that? And I also think, going back to the Michael Draka trial, they said specifically, the prosecutors used this. They said, when's the last time you've had any kind of training? And his response was 1983, I think it was. So they used that against him of 1983. I think it would be very helpful for the public to still have a concealed carry permit and say oh yeah, so, John Smith went ahead and got his concealed carry permit, took the training, learned the law, and I think that that's something that can be used on your side should you ever have to use your firearm in self-defense. So I think it shows responsibility. I think it shows that you took, extra steps to make sure that you're prepared and that you're a responsible armed citizen.
Okay, so Facebook user says, did you notice it says if you have a medical marijuana card, you can't carry under this bill? That has always been a law.
Yeah.
That's a federal law that's existed since the 80s, 60s. So again, this is a perfect example of you've probably been carrying a gun concealed with a medical marijuana card, and you've been breaking the law because that has always been illegal. So you are not, if you have a medical marijuana card, you're an illegal drug user in the United States.
Right.
You're an illegal drug user. And illegal drug users are not allowed to own, touch, possess firearms or ammunition anywhere in the United States. That has always been law. But people actually, it's really the marijuana industry loves to say, oh, it's not true. I have both. You're allowed to have both.
The doctors actually say that too when people ask about it, because I had a student email me and said, I just asked my doctor and he said it would be okay.
Yeah.
So, they want to get their chunk of the pie. They want to get their money. So they're not going to tell you. So they automatically tell you oh yeah, you'll be fine. Because what repercussion is there for them? I mean, no one's going to go to court and be like, oh, my medical doctor said it was fine. They're going to be like, okay, well, too bad. You can't just, give me proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, always renew your permit. Make sure you have it. It's still very, very important. So I've had my permit since 2004. I'm not giving it up. Okay, very smart.
Yeah, because of the state reciprocity. I mean, Ryan too. We went to Tennessee we drove to Phoenix, Arizona. If we're going to go anywhere, we want to be able to have our firearm. I think you flew to Nevada. You had your firearm with you.
Went to Pennsylvania.
So, I mean, for anybody who's a serious carrier and wants to be able to have their firearm, and I actually think that when you're traveling is probably one of the most important times that you have to have a firearm with you. So I think that that's like a really big reason to keep your concealed carry permit. And if you're, thinking about getting your concealed carry permit and you're not sure, because I've also had people ask me that question, like, what should I do? I still encourage people to get it because for $97 for 7 years is the first initial payment, and then $42 after that. You don't have to take any additional classes. It just makes sense. We're talking of less than $9 a year, right, to get your permit to be able to travel with your firearm and have that extra security. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the first video here. You ready? So that is not correct. Do I have to renew my permit? Okay, we talked about that. Okay, this is an incident that happened at a gas station. So let's watch a video and then we'll talk about it.
See that guy twitching.
That is the kind of stuff that already happens. So I guarantee you that shooter, in his sick, twisted mind, thought, this guy is attacking me. Yeah. Here's what I hear from people all the time. They go, I was in fear for my life. Because that's like the quote that gun people love to use, right? The guy kicked my vehicle, and now I'm allowed to use my gun. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. That's a checkmate.
But I think that a lot of people, though, know, you can't, just because you say something, it doesn't mean it's accurate. I mean, if I'm on a jury, I should say, and I see that, I'm saying that's murder. You're not in fear for your life because someone's kicking your truck.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Was that a justified shoot? Is that a non-justified shooting? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, and if I'm a gun owner, I'm pro-carry, I'm pro, all that stuff. But if I see that, I say you're an uneducated gun owner that thinks that you can just shoot someone and take a life, right? We don't know. Is this guy a father? He's a son to someone. You can take a life for kicking a vehicle. Now, is that guy stupid? Yes. Should he be kicking the vehicle? No. But what does he deserve? He deserves what's that called? Like when you wreck someone's property,
wrecking their property.
Or wrecking your property charge. That's what he deserves. He deserves wrecking a property under $1,000 fine, right? Just like stealing somebody's property under $1,000. That's what he deserves. He does not deserve to be killed, shot dead in the street, because he has a little bit of an anger problem.
Here's what's fascinating. When I saw that video, you texted it to me on Instagram. I was just looking through the comments. And again, this is what really concerns me about gun owners, right? A bunch of the comments are like, you kick my truck and that's exactly what's going to happen. And they're like,
play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Oh, I hate hearing that.
I know, it's just so crazy.
But on here, this is a different type of
Very different kind of person,
We have a different type of person that watches our channel. I will say that. We do have, and I will say, the people that come into your classes that are responsible gun owners and actually think this through, they are the ones that leave the reviews that say, thank you, Ryan, for clearing that up for me. Thank you, Ryan, for sharing the knowledge that you're sharing, because I appreciate that.
Yeah, here's even something that's really funny. So Facebook user, again, we don't see your name because it's hidden for some reason.
Yeah.
But talking about the medical marijuana, and he said on here, I just thought you couldn't have both on you at the same time.
Right.
But that's a common misconception.
It is.
So here's something that a lot of people do not know. You are not allowed to use a firearm in self-defense if you are committing a crime. So, I talk about in my class, there's 5 things that have to happen before you're legally allowed to use a firearm in self-defense. So the final requirement is that you cannot be committing a crime. Well, the crime, if you have a medical marijuana card, you are in possession of a firearm illegally.
Yes.
Which means the Florida Stand Your Ground law does not apply to you.
So now what you thought was legal
And would have been legal if Joe did it, is now illegal because you did it.
Because where a lot of people get confused is they think, well, it's legal in the state of Florida, but gun laws are federal. And federally, marijuana is illegal federally. Federal laws trump state laws. So that's where so many people get confused because, and it is confusing, I will give you that. But that's the reason why we teach this kind of stuff, right? This is the stuff that we cover in our class and in our book. We go through this stuff so that you can be informed and you can be educated. But if you are carrying a firearm in the state of Florida, just because you have a medical marijuana card, you think, hey, it's prescription. But federally, it is illegal. So then you are technically a unauthorized user. So now Stand Your Ground, if you have to go to trial, Stand Your Ground no longer works for you because you are committing a crime while you were carrying.
What's your question, Marco? So Marco says he has a question, which is something that drives Tiffany crazy.
Yeah, well, no, because people text me and they say, I have a question. And they wait for me to reply. And I'm like, well, why are you doing that? My first text was, hey.
Tiff, just real quick.
Hey, what's your question?
Yeah.
So if you have a question, just post it here and we'll answer it for you. Yeah.
Okay, background checks. Is there background checks on the new Florida law? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
There's always a background check when you go to buy a gun. You just don't have a background check to carry a gun unless you're going to get a concealed carry permit.
Right. So you have to do your due diligence if you're going to start carrying a gun, and it is now your responsibility to know if you are legal or not legal to carry a firearm. So if you have anything at all in your record, you have to do your due diligence to find out if you can legally carry a gun. Because what you don't want to do is just start carrying a gun, assume that you are okay, and then get pulled over or, use your gun in self-defense and realize that you are actually a prohibited person. And then once again, like we just said, Florida Stand Your Ground or justified use of force is cut out, and now you're in a heap of trouble.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't.
All right,
do
so
that.
Christopher says, I'm a resident of PA and I have my concealed carry permit up there. Does Florida constitutional carry bill only apply to residents or can it be out-of-state visitors? Yes, out-of-state visitors can carry as long as they're allowed to carry in the other state.
Yeah, as long as you're not a prohibited user.
Okay. Biden enacting background checks coming soon. Yeah, it looks like I was reading today. It looks like an assault weapons ban passed the House.
Well, and now with this news today breaking of the shooting in, Louisville, Kentucky, of the live stream guy who worked at the bank. Of course, they noted he used a rifle, so.
Yeah. Okay, so Jay Chambers says advantages of a concealed carry permit. The advantage, number one, is reciprocity. So you have to have a permit if you want to be able to carry outside of the state of Florida.
Which is huge.
Which is huge.
For anybody that does any kind of traveling.
Number two is you get to bypass the waiting period when you're going to buy a new firearm. Number three, which is the most important, if you do you guys remember the Michael Draco shooting? Yeah. Remember Michael Draco was the guy who every day when he drove home, he would pass a convenience store. Mm-hmm. And if somebody was parked illegally in a handicapped parking spot, Michael Draco would get out and confront them. So Michael Draco's confronting this woman, Brittany. Her boyfriend comes out, shoves Draco to the ground. And then Draco pulls out a gun, shot Marquise right in the side. Marquise died 5 minutes later. They asked during Draco's deposition, they said, when did you get your concealed carry permit? And he said, 1987 or something like that. And they said, okay, interesting. When was the last time you had professional firearms training? Mm-hmm. And Draco looked at them and said, 1987. And he said, oh, that's interesting. They absolutely destroyed Michael Draco in the mind of the jury, looking like a very irresponsible concealed carry permit holder because he hadn't received professional training with a firearm in 30 years. I would be willing to bet. We always got to remember, prosecutors are going to use whatever they can against people in court. If you're carrying a firearm without a permit and you use a gun against somebody, I will guarantee you they will use that against you in the mind of the jury. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they'll come up with something. So they're laughing because I just shared this story. They're like, Ryan wasn't paying attention when Tiff just shared this story a few minutes ago.
What do you mean about
Draco? Yeah, when you were looking up the bill, because you were concentrating, so you weren't paying attention. Yeah. So somebody asked, okay, now that there's not a class anymore, can people just carry anywhere? You want to know bars, restaurants, and school? No, like none of that has changed. You can't just carry anywhere. There's still the 15 prohibited places. There's still a lot of like laws and rules that you have to know and have to follow. The only thing that's changed now is you're not forced to learn those things. You have to go and learn those things on your own. Okay, so that's the caveat. And what Ryan and I have been saying is, just kind of a barometer, because we know of the people that come into the class and stuff like that. They're not really probably going to be willing to go search that out on their own.
Yeah.
So might pose a bit of a problem.
So David asks, so somebody who is working as a courier for a medical distributor, are they also committing a crime? Yeah, I heard, and again, I just briefly read through it today, the finalized bill, but I heard that you can no longer carry a gun concealed inside of a pharmacy, which is going to be adding a new prohibited place. But what's interesting is I didn't see that when I was reading through the prohibited areas.
Oh, weird.
So I don't know why I'm seeing other people talk about that, but I didn't see it in there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to read that again, and then I'll make a video or whatever, and it'll definitely be in my next book about it once I figure out all the real details.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Thank you very much, Marco. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Very much.
All right, so question number 1. Michael says, is it illegal for middle and high school students to carry pepper spray on a campus? Yeah, so you have to be 18 years old to be in possession of a chemical spray. And it's definitely illegal to have any type of self-defense weapon at a school, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. You can't have a knife, a billy, a chemical spray, a stun gun. All that stuff's illegal. So,
yeah, and very important to know this kind of stuff before you think that you're helping your child, sending it to them, to school, and then realizing that, no, they're going to get in really big trouble. Expelled, you're going to face felony charges, and it's just not going to be cool. So,
yeah, so David says prosecutors are just going to make up stuff, right, during the court case. Yes, they will.
That's their job.
That's their job, right? But here's what's also really interesting. In a self-defense shooting, when you go to court, the jury will not make their decision on whether you're guilty or innocent based on the law. They will not base their opinion based on the facts. They're going to base their opinion on their emotional state and what they believe, right? That's why if you ever go to trial, Tiff and I have been to a trial. We, whatever, it doesn't matter what we did, but we sued somebody and then we had to go to a trial over it. So, and the attorney told us, like, hey, listen, even though your case is like very solid, when you go to a trial, it is like rolling the dice, okay? Because you just don't know what the jury is going to believe.
Yeah.
And where they're going to land on it. So, yeah, that's just basically it, man.
So the prosecutor is always going to use anything they can, right, against you. That's the game they play. And your defense is going to try to pull everything out. Like when we went, they were like, Ryan, okay, you said you were in the military. Okay, so you served your country. Ryan, you flew to Virginia. You donated your bone marrow to a family that had, their father had cancer. So he was pulling for all the good things that Ryan has done in his life. So the same thing would happen with you. They're like, what kind of training have you received? Do you have your concealed carry permit? Did you read any law books? Like, what did you do to be a responsible firearms owner? That's what your defense lawyer is going to want to know, because they're going to want to use that to share at your trial, right? Just like we saw in all these other trials with, Michael Dunn and the other gentleman. So they want whatever they can to compile. So if you say, hey, I have this book, I've taken a class, I've taken this class, it's just going to help your defense. And that's what I was trying to explain, earlier this week in an email to a student. Like, it doesn't hurt you to renew your permit and to say, like, you've taken the steps to be a responsible gun owner.
It's not only that. Like, I think people are extremely short-sighted, which is what I find funny about the whole conversation. People are like, should I even get my permit? Should I even renew my permit? Yeah. So would you guys agree that firearms are extremely dangerous?
Yeah.
Would you guys agree that like a lot of people die because they misuse guns. Like, would you guys agree that a lot of people end up going to prison because they thought they were doing the right thing with the gun, but then they discovered they weren't? Okay, the answer is yes to all those questions, right? Wouldn't you agree that your family and you deserve to have the top-notch education so that you can stay safe, protect your family, and not go to jail afterwards?
Yeah.
And wouldn't you agree that that's worth, how much is that worth to you?
Right, yeah.
Is that worth $10,000?
So the cost
Is that worth $100 class?
a $59 or $69 class, and you know.
See, it's not $59. That's what people don't understand. It's not, I actually told a guy in the class, was it Saturday? I looked at him and said, I don't remember what he was talking about. He was talking about like, he was very upset about, I said, somebody coming onto your property. I said, you can't just shoot them. And he's like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And I said, you cannot shoot somebody, sir, because they come onto your property.
Get confused by that.
And he was upset by it. And we I explained it. I explained to him the castle doctrine law, and he was like, oh my gosh. And I said, you not knowing that, I said, I just saved you 10 or 20 years in prison.
Right.
And the guy was like, yeah, I agree.
And thousands of dollars in legal fees.
So that's not $59 of value.
Right.
That's however much money you make right now times 20 years of value.
Right.
That's how much money that's opportunity cost, right? So we got to remember that. We got to think about that. Like, how much is your physical safety worth? How much is your peace of mind worth?
Right.
Because I got to tell you, I don't give a shit about $59. I've actually spent significantly more money than that doing things because, actually, I'll just tell you, I spent $25,000 and bought something, but what I got in return for that $25,000 has made me and Tiffany millions of dollars. So was it a cost for 25 grand or was it an investment that matured into millions? It was an investment. So if I would have been afraid to spend that 25 grand, I don't lose 25 grand. I actually lose 2 or 3 million. Does that make sense? That's opportunity cost.
Yeah, and it's the same for the class. Like learning, getting proper training. Like, what's the opportunity cost? Like Ryan had a lady in his class, okay, that had her leg amputated. One leg completely amputated because her husband was
cleaning a gun.
His firearm, shot her in the leg, and she had to have her leg amputated. What is the opportunity cost there? Yeah,
so I tell this to all my classes now because it just puts it in perspective.
It's just crazy, yeah.
But I say, how much do you think this woman spent to get her leg amputated?
Right.
And people are like, I don't know, thousands of dollars. It's like, are you kidding me? Jackson got stung by a scorpion and it was like $100 grand. So I bet you a woman getting her leg amputated.
$75,000.
Okay. I bet you a woman getting her leg amputated was $250,000, $500,000. It's a ridiculous number, right? Yeah. So her husband, thinking he knew how to handle a gun, cost his wife her leg and hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, and if they had medical insurance, maybe it's only 20 grand. But the point is, how much is her leg worth? How much would you pay to have your leg back? Like I say all the time, I would pay $50,000 to not have motion sickness because I get super, super sick driving in the vehicle, going on roller coasters, going on a boat, which, by the way, I did parasailing in Mexico. But then the guy should have never told us. He said, do this if you want to come down early. We got up to the top. Ryan's having a great time. The swing starts swinging. And I'm like, And then I look and I see that there's this knot that's holding us to the parachute. And the knot is like one little thing. I said, did you see the knot that's holding us to this parachute? And Ryan looks, he goes, oh yeah, shit, that's not very good. I said, do this, Ryan, do this. So,
how did you get on this topic, Tiff?
Because I'm talking about listen, let me talk. So I do this. Ryan's a good sport. He calls us down. So my point is, I say all the time, I would give $50,000 of my own money to get rid of this problem of me having motion sickness. How much would somebody give to have their leg back?
Yeah, a lot.
The opportunity cost there. Like, I mean, lots of people would give tons of money just to be able to get their leg back. So we're talking about, a couple $100 to have firearms training, to have the education you need to safely carry a firearm forever. this is not training that goes away. It stays with you, So it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, it
to
is.
me.
For smart people.
Yeah.
For dumb people, you can never help them anyway. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
so
matter.
anyway, I did the whole this. Ryan got me down from the parasailing, and were you mad at me? Tell the truth.
No, I don't care.
You were fine? Okay. Because we had to end it early, but I was feeling like, and this is the thing. I told Ryan, I'm like, some things you have to just do afraid, because I was scared crapless to go up doing the parasailing, but I knew that Ryan was like really wanting to do it, and he would be disappointed in me, so I did it totally afraid, and, I came down early, but I think I did good.
Okay, Katie says a kidney transplant costs $1.5 million.
Wow.
Maybe that's our next business, Sarah.
We're going to sell my
kidneys.
No, you know what? Total off topic while you find the other thing.
I'm ready. I'm waiting for you to
shut up.
I'm waiting for you to let the wine soak in and calm down a bit.
Okay. Tell me you guys don't mind if so here's two stories, because Ryan's going to just have to chill out, but I like to have a little fun. So Ryan hasn't been drinking, but I went to Mexico. I'm like, hey, I've been getting mango mojitos. So we go out with our friends, and Ryan's completely sober, and I have 3 or 4.
It was very interesting to be the only sober person in a room. Because I'm just sitting there watching, and I'm like, wow, this is what is really happening.
So I have 3 or 4. That's it. 3 or 4 mango mojitos. But if anybody knows me, I usually just have 1 glass of wine. So 3 or 4 to me is like I'm almost taking off my shirt and standing on the table. And so I'm talking to these people, and I'm like, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm getting super passionate, right? Because that's what I do when we talk business. I get super passionate. So I'm like, oh, and they're like, yeah, that's so good. And we're going back and forth.
Because they were drunk too.
Yeah, but we're going back and forth. And then Ryan, the next day, he goes, I said, sweetie, did I embarrass you at all? And he says, no, but you point a lot. He's like, you're pointing about everything. I said, yeah, because I get so excited. I'm like, you should do this. And he's like, yeah, no, you should not point. So the whole trip, he said, you can do this to people, 4 fingers.
4 fingers is acceptable, not
4
1
fingers
finger.
is acceptable. The whole trip, okay? I'm watching people. Some people are pointing. I'm like, ooh, they're pointing. I'm going to tell Ryan after this. And every time I would start talking and get super passionate, I would do this on purpose. I'd be like,
But then our friends were in on the joke too, and it just turned into a big thing.
yeah, it was super, super funny. So that was point number 1. I forgot the other thing because I probably
Yes, because you're freaking hammered, Tiff.
had a little bit too much wine. So I forgot. Go ahead, Ryan. I'll give it over to you.
Yeah, O-Town Racer says, I know the feeling, Ryan. I stopped many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard. It was, you know what? The worst part about not drinking there was we went to that one seafood restaurant like the first day or whatever.
Yeah.
And the freaking waiter there, like, I got to tell you, man, this wait staff at this resort is like top freaking notch, man. It's like rated the #1 resort in the world by Forbes.
It's 5 diamond. I didn't even know there was diamond. I thought there was.
Okay, so we're there, and everybody else orders alcohol, and I said, I'll have a mojito with no alcohol. Let me tell you, that waiter would not stop making fun of me for not having alcohol. Tiffany, I promise you.
I don't even remember.
This is how I am growing as a person.
I was drunk.
This is how I am growing as a person, because me a year ago, I would have been very aggressive to that person. And I would have said,
You would've
listen,
gotten
you
mad.
dumb mother blank. You say one more thing to me about me not being a man or whatever and can't drink an alcohol, and I'm gonna freaking smash this plate against your head.
Oh, yeah. And then Tiff would have been uber embarrassed.
Okay. So, but I just kept saying to him, I was stern with him because I wanted him to know. If you remember, that was the only time we tipped the entire time, which not everybody did. But that was the one person I was like, I'm not giving him a tip. Oh. That guy is getting nothing from me, man. I was pissed.
Ryan was pissed. I had no idea. I was probably sloshed already. I probably didn't notice. I was already like 3 or 4 drinks in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't drink a lot. The difference is like I can have a drink once in a while or whatever, and it's like whatever. But Ryan does turn into like he's like slowly like every 3 nights, every 2 nights, every night. So it was like it's just part of your personality. You just
I'm very addictive personality.
You do have. I always
when I do
said,
something, I do it hard,
You
and
do.
I'm like freaking in.
You do it so hard and so in. The difference between you and me, though, is that, I always called myself saying I had an addictive personality, but after meeting, really... studying you.
I'm addicted.
I've realized
to everything.
No, you have an addictive personality. I just have like a micro addicted because I can stop.
Like listening to a Okay, a normal person might listen to a podcast. I listen to like 80 podcasts in like a week.
Yeah.
But not
everything
like
you do.
The
is
same
addictive.
episode, but 80 of them in a week. Like I never listen to anything else.
Yeah.
And I print off transcripts of the podcast episode so that I can study the written word while I'm listening to the audio so that I can get it better. Yeah, I have issues.
Yeah. So that's what my wife says, LOL.
Yeah.
No money lost at an all-inclusive resort. Exactly. There's no money lost there. So what's the next question, babe? Because I think we got off track a little there.
Off track a little?
A little.
Okay, so this is a very, very sad situation that paints a very important picture for all Florida gun owners. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you think is happening outside. Mm-hmm. Do not walk out of your home. Do not open the door with a firearm in your hand. Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on a second.
Uh-oh, did you not put the video?
Okay, so I'll just tell you the story.
Whoops.
The police get a phone call for a domestic violence situation.
This is in New Mexico.
They go to the neighborhood. They're supposed to be going to 1315, but they go to 1317, start banging on the door, and nobody answers. So they allegedly step back to verify the address. I don't believe that.
I don't believe it.
And the homeowner opens the door, and he's got a gun in his hand, but his screen door is still shut. Mm-hmm. And one of the officers just pulled out his gun, cranked around, hit this guy. He fell over, and he died a few minutes later.
And we saw this happen a few years ago with a gentleman, Ryan. I can't remember his name, but his neighbor was pissed off. They were playing video games loudly.
No, his name was Ryan. Yeah, so it was the man, Ryan, and his wife had gotten off of work and they were playing video games. The neighbor was upset upstairs that they were being loud at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. And he didn't call the police and say, hey, listen, my neighbor is playing video games. They're being loud. I'm trying to sleep. I got to go to work in the morning. That's not what he said. He called and said, there's a domestic violence situation. I think he's hurting his wife. You need to send the police. Yeah. So they send the cops. This guy, Ryan, opens the door with the gun in his hand.
They shoot him down.
Officer opens fire, shoots him, kills him. And it's just so sad.
So I know this is in New Mexico. This is a different spot. But cover the opening the door with your firearm and what that...
Well, you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But cover that.
Having a firearm in your hand is called in hand, ready to use. So that is a threatening act. We are allowed to have a firearm concealed on our body when we open our front door. You're allowed to have a firearm open carried when you open your door. So that means the gun is visible to the police, but not in your hand.
Right.
When it's in your hand, it is an extremely threatening act. So just don't do it. We had a lady in the class who took the concealed carry class in preparation for her court hearing, which I always love when people tell me that. And I said, listen, you tell me that in the class, I'm going to ask you this question.
Right.
What's your court hearing about?
Right.
Don't give me some bullshit like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. You brought this up.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now you're going to tell me. So I said, what's your court hearing about? And she goes, well, I got a knock, or somebody knocked on my door and he was soliciting. So I went to my window and opened the window and said, hey, there's no soliciting in this neighborhood. Don't knock on my door again. Well, the guy knocked on the door again. And then the lady came and said, if you knock on my door again, I'm going to shoot you. And then, do you know what the guy did?
He knocked on the door again.
He rang the doorbell.
Oh.
Which is brilliant. That's something I would do.
Smart ass, but totally.
So this lady goes and grabs a shotgun. She points it through the window, racks it, and then the solicitor just casually walks away. Calls the police. Police come back, and this woman gets arrested for threatening to kill somebody illegally.
Oh, wow.
And her big argument is, he was on my property. I told him not to knock on my door, and he rang my doorbell. Guess what? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that, right?
And do we want to live in a society where we are allowed to do that?
No, of course not. It's irresponsible.
I don't want to. I don't want my kids, you were a door knocker.
Yeah, and I had people pull guns on me.
And, we had a door knocker today. And I looked at the Ring doorbell. I mean, my big thing is I just look at the Ring doorbell and I don't answer the door. Sometimes I'll go on the little audio thing and say, sorry, we're not interested.
And do you want to know what I do?
But here's the thing. When I look through the door, this is a kid, like a 19, 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pull out a
Do you want to know
gun.
what I do when I get door knockers? Because I do always open the door for them. I open the door and I go, you have 2 minutes. And they're like, okay. And they like get into their pitch real quick.
Like, your neighbor down the street, Jim.
So this one kid, he knocked and he started giving me his pitch. And I let him go. It was like 5 minutes. And then finally I said, time out. I said, do you want to know the 3 mistakes you're making? And he was like, he moved from sales mode and he was like, okay, what are the mistakes? And I was like, you're trying to sell a problem you're trying to convince me that I have a problem that I don't have. I said, do you see cobwebs on my house? Right. I don't have cobwebs, bro. Because if I had cobwebs, I would get my pressure washer out right now and clean all of them. And I went through the list and the guy was like, okay, thank you, sir.
So what should I say? Did he ask you what should he said?
No, because he was just caught off guard. But his trainer was there, his sales trainer who was trying to teach him. And his sales trainer I said, you're the trainer, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, it's okay. I did this for a living for a long time. I know what you guys are doing. And I told all that stuff. And then he goes, I actually wrote all that down to tell him when we left.
That's funny.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the bottom line is, I mean, do we really want to be in a society where you can pull a gun and threaten somebody that knocks on your freaking door? No. Are solicitors annoying? Yes, they are.
They're not annoying. They're
annoying to me.
Salespeople are the lifeblood of the world.
But that is true.
You would not. Nobody here would have a job if salespeople did not exist. They are the most important people in our society.
And they're out there hustling. And for
man.
me, what I think of is when we had little babies at home and you would go out and door knock. And like, the thing is they're hustling. At least they're working and they're not just sitting on their butt trying to collect a paycheck. So let's at least give them, enough respect to say, you're out walking in the hot freaking Florida sun.
Trying to provide value because
going door to door, getting rejected one after another. Do you know what that feels like? And then to continue going to the next door. Like, I remember you coming home and being like, I knocked on 100 doors and freaking everybody was pissed off and slammed their door. Like, that was hard on you. And you had babies at home and you were just trying to do your job. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so Brian has a question. Do you carry when at the gun range? Yeah. So the sign on the door says you must clear all weapons before entering the building. I definitely clear the weapon, but I am planning to shoot. But if I don't plan to shoot my concealed carry gun, am I good to go? A couple of the employees over the last few years have said it's not a problem, but I asked about the sign on the door and they couldn't give me a straight answer to this question. Okay. Yeah, so when I go to the gun range, I always have a gun on me. Yeah. So my gun is there and it's loaded, unless today I let a couple students shoot it, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, I always have a gun. I went to Shooter's World in Shoot Straight in Sarasota with Joe Yeager a couple months ago, and I think they had a sign on the door that said no loaded guns allowed. I just ignore it because it's not up to you. You don't get to choose.
Because in the state of Florida, so just explain that for the people that are watching that don't know.
Those signs are non-enforceable. But here's the reason. When we owned our gun store, we had a big sign on the door that said no loaded guns allowed. And the reason we had that sign, and people are like, you're violating the Second Amendment. No, I'm trying to scare off stupid people. Why? Because dumb people would come in every day with loaded guns concealed, and then they would pull the gun out. I remember this one guy, somebody came in, there was like 5 people in the store, and this guy was like, hey, I want to see a Glock 43. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, man, I don't have a Glock 43 here right now. We can order one for you, but I don't have one. And this guy was like, I got one. And he freaking pulled it out. And I said, is that gun loaded? And he's like, F yeah, it is. And I was like, okay, can we put that back in the holster, man?
Right.
Like, that's the reason those signs exist, so that when that idiot shoots somebody, I have some recourse to say, hey, I had a sign that said no guns allowed, and that guy violated it, right?
Yeah. Obviously, we're not anti-2A. We own a gun store.
Right.
But we did have those signs.
But there's just a lot of foolish people that do. Like, you guys don't understand unless you actually work at a gun store every single day to see how. Do you guys, I know I did a video on YouTube about this, but I'll share it again. This guy walked into Universal Jewelry, okay? And he walked up and said, hey, do you guys buy guns? And they were like, yeah, we buy guns. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll be back. So he comes out, he opens the front door of the building, opens it, has the Glock in his hand. He raises the gun in the air like this, racks it in the air, and Jenny, the owner, is in the back, and she freaking stood up from her desk, drew her gun, had her gun pointed through the window, ready to smoke this guy, and then everybody in the store freaked out. People are drawing guns, get down. And then the guy goes, oh, hey, I'm just here to sell it. Are you that foolish? You're going to walk in here and raise a gun up and then rack it? That's like what you do during a robbery, bro. And now you're upset. This guy is upset that people are yelling at him and people are pointing guns at him about to kill him?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Jenny?
That's me, Jenny.
Okay, like...
yeah. Okay. So this is a good
so
example,
crazy.
though, of why you need to know this stuff because, you just aren't thinking. You just don't know. And that's the thing. Unless you work in a gun store, like I cannot tell you how many people... The one thing that I hated in the gun store was having the lasers installed on the guns. Because every time I would show a person, 9 times out of 10, that had a laser on a gun, you know what they would do? They would pick up the gun, they would do the laser, and they would point it either at the person they were with and start laughing, that the laser was bouncing around their face and start laughing, or they would freaking point it at themselves and look at the laser, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Do you remember
Are you freaking serious right now?
There was one lady that called me a racist, okay, because I wouldn't sell her a gun, and it was a Smith & Wesson bodyguard that had a laser on it.
Okay, the laser.
Okay? So we were talking about guns, and I was showing her a bunch of guns, and I showed her that one, and I said, here, you can push this button, there's a little laser. So she took it, and she pointed it at, I think it was her husband or her boyfriend, pointed at his head. And I grabbed the gun, and I was like, ma'am, we never point a gun like that. Never. And she goes, I saw you check to make sure it's not unloaded. And I said, it doesn't matter. So I was trying to be calm, and then the lady was like, all right, I want to get that one. And I was like, no. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, I'm not selling you a gun, okay? I said, you're not ready. Like, you're just not ready to own a gun, okay? And the lady just like flipped out. You're a racist. How dare you do that? And I'm like, whatever, I'm saving your husband's life right now.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I just did, is I saved his life.
Right. Yeah. Because you're just not ready.
You're not mentally ready yet to have this responsibility.
Yeah. And it's a big responsibility. And that's the number one thing. I guess we got to kind of go now. But that's the number one thing that we're trying to convey to people is that with this comes great responsibility. If you're going to have a gun in the home and you have children in the home, it is a great responsibility that you have. Even if you don't have children in the home and you have neighbor, kids and stuff like that, it is a great responsibility. If you're going to carry a firearm and walk around with a loaded gun on your hip, it is a great responsibility that you have to everybody around you, okay, to be safe and responsible. That means to understand when you can and can't use your firearm. That means to understand what it truly means to have firearm safety, like ingrained on a subconscious level, to understand what it means to safety check your firearm and all that kind of stuff that people just don't know. Okay, they just don't know. They think that watching or playing Call of Duty is sufficient enough. Okay, so as soon as that guy said that, I said to Jax, because I've never played Call of Duty, I said, do you learn how to carry a firearm safely? And Jackson, who's 9 years old, says no. The only thing you learn is how to reload a clip or a magazine. He said, that's all. So that's what we are trying to say, is that you must understand that this is a big responsibility. So, Dan, before we go.
Yes.
Before we go, I forgot to send Ryan the video because we missed it last week. For all of you who gave to Dan's boy, Knox, okay?
He bought a badass bike.
It ended up being $250 that he got because we said we would cover the little fees and stuff like that. So $250 Knox got. He was able to go buy himself a bike. He was so thankful. Dan sent us the video of Knox riding on the bike. We'll probably play it next week for you. But thank you to everybody who, just joined in, who gave. And it's just awesome. It's awesome to be a part of a community who will do these little things to just help, change
yeah, so
kids'
if
life.
you that don't know, Knox got his bike stolen about a month ago, I guess.
From Publix, yeah.
From Publix.
And, the kid's 9. He works his butt off. He's got a lawn mowing company that he's doing. And after this happened, it was really like a big, just think, 9 years old. And this kid is a bike rider. Like, he does
I don't understand how he does that.
He does the
pretty
Papa
crazy.
wheelies down the street for like 30 meters. Like, I don't even know how you do that. But so you're a serious bike rider if you can do that. Because not just anybody can do a poppy wheelie for, 30 meters. So anyway, he got his bike stolen from Publix. Dan's a great friend of ours. And we did a thing, 2 weeks ago, just saying like, hey, if you want to pitch in to buy him a new bike. And we raised $250, for him to go buy a new bike. So what was really cool is he messages Dad. He's like, Dad, how many lawns do I have to mow to buy a new bike? So it was really cool that we were able to say like, no. Here's your new bike. Go mow the lawns and do whatever you're gonna with that money. Cool. So thank you to everybody who gave. Yes, Eddie sent money to us, and all of you gave. So thank you so much. And I guess we'll see you next Monday night at 7 p.m.
Peace.
Peace out.
I am a sheepdog.
I have a subconscious and moral burden
to protect and help the people around me.
I believe in safety, responsibility,
and the God-given right to defend myself and others
from the wolves who seek to steal, kill, and destroy.
I defend the Second Amendment
by properly representing what it means to be a gun owner.
I will put aside my doubts,
my fears, and my excuses.
I will be trained, I will be ready.
I will be confident, and I will be prepared.
While some sheepdogs are born, most are made.
Becoming a sheepdog is a choice.
A new way of thinking and a new identity.
An alter ego that you must step into.
We are patriots.
We are defenders of liberty.
We protect those we love.
We are sheepdogs.